this, it says Alton Oxner on the back of this, and it says he was perhaps the only listener who knew of Oswald's defection before the debate. That was because he knew Oswald. He knew him because we were involved in this project. And here it's actually an admission. How did he know about Lee Oswald before everybody else did? It's because he already met him. He was involved.
Yeah. You got to read that because that's a precursor to book. Oh yeah.
Judyth is, in addition to being an author, she's you can see a very talented artist, and she does oil paintings, one of which she brought here to display, and these are lithographs that she did in 1981, and they had been stored away by her son, and she recently was able to get them back and is hoping to get donations to help her get back home safely. Oh, these are readings that she did from the book. Yeah, I hope these don't all. There's several. I'm going to buy one of those.
I've been fascinated with the JFK killing for a long, long time, and obviously seeing the documentary The Men Who Killed Kennedy, the 8th episode, which has Judyth in it, is compelling and incredibly interesting. It's great to see somebody in person who is so closely and intimately involved in probably one of the biggest political events ever, probably, at least in North American history. So yeah, it's great that an event like this is taking place.
So this one? Yes, this is Flora. Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. It'll be cool to read it and kind of get a little more in depth than the sort of interview stuff I've seen. But yeah, it's incredibly compelling, regardless of whether you think Oswald did it or not. Somebody at home who's only heard the official story or something. I think to hear this story is compelling and interesting anyway. So yeah, and I think it's just another sort of key and a bit of a look behind the curtain as to how things really operate.
Lee would have been 72 today, Tuesday, October 18th. Did not shoot JFK. I had a weird look. I had to explain. I had to tell her that I had a friend named Lee that looked like Lee Harvey Oswald. Just because they're like, oh, you're celebrating a terrorist's birthday? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? So, the story came out. Oh, it's our buddy. He looks like Lee Harvey. Yada, yada, yada.
This man is from New Orleans.
That's
and he
right.
can tell you a lot.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. Oh, it's good.
What is your name? Yeah, we're going to try. Yeah, so okay, take care. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you. You do thank you. Claude C-L-A-U-D.
So much. It's great meeting you. All right, cheers.
Hi. Where are you from? Toronto. Okay. Okay, to rock.
Yes,
Know anything about JFK?
of course. I mean, it's something
And see, here's the thing. JFK was destroyed, and that's when the destruction of our democracy and of yours began.
Absolutely. I think it's carried the truth.
I would love to get out there and get arrested with everybody who's going on Occupy. I would. If it weren't, if I could do it, I would do it.
Could I bend your ear for 2 seconds about something?
Sure,
I'm just
what?
totally curious.
What?
I've
Sure.
always been curious about the two
What?
The two Oswald.
Okay, here's the thing about the two Oswald. Somebody thinks it's very clever to take everything that was ever said. See, Lee did have imposters, okay?
Right.
But they've collected every possible picture that anybody says, oh, I have a picture of Oswald. Oh, I have one. And then they say, oh, there was this other one. No, it's not that. It's that there are many imposters, many backgrounds. You're going to see it in here. he didn't mind it being having imposters, and it was set up that way. And in fact, other agents have the same thing, doubles and so on. So when they come back from their assignment, it looked like they never left because these other people are doing things. That doesn't mean they were raised from childhood together. It's absurd. Why don't we have any other examples of that? We don't. Okay. So trust me, the truth is that there was Lee hated his middle name Harvey. Okay. We're going to be talking at 8 o'clock. Hi. So, do you care about Kennedy? Care about the truth? And that's why you're here, right?
Yes.
Okay, God bless you. You've read the book?
No, I'll read it.
Okay, well, you're going to get your questions answered from me. And I'm writing Toronto in here because these are the first time I've been able to sign any books. Because I've had to live in secrecy.
Right, of course.
And I've got to
You
go
can't
back.
go to the States.
No, well, I can't even stay here. No. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
God bless you.
Okay, you too. Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Hi, boy, Jerry Hemming.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about when I say Jerry Hemming?
No,
Okay, he's a CIA operative who's been working with you. You'll find him in the book.
I read your book over a year ago,
Did.
and I just came to buy another one because I left it out in D.C. and I wanted to thank you for being so brave. I never believed the Warren report,
no,
but
it's
what
a lie.
turned me was James Davison's JFK and the Unspeakable.
Yes, isn't it wonderful? That's James Douglas.
James Douglas,
And
what did I
Jim
say?
sent me his book.
That turned my whole world around.
And he's telling you the truth.
And that's what...
And then you see Abraham Bolden is in there, and he said that the informant named Lee saved Kennedy's life in Chicago. And in 1999, I told people Lee saved Kennedy's life, and nobody would believe me. Now I have more evidence keeps coming out. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Please keep here. Yes, we're going to talk in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just put some candles in the cake, and then
Okay, let's do that.
everyone will kind of have to just sort of hold their place because I don't know how else we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I have a new theory.
Yes.
If Lee was forced to shoot, he shot an assassin near the bridge.
Well, that's lovely. But, you know, the test showed on nitrate. He had no nitrates on his cheek. And if there would have been blowback from that, he didn't fire a rifle.
Oh, I see.
God bless
Okay.
you.
Do you have a lighter? I need a lighter.
Actually, yeah. All right, everyone. Judyth is going to say a few words.
Oh, good.
That's amazing.
You know, Lee Harvey Oswald was a hero, and you're going to find that out. Whereas they used to urinate on his grave, now they're starting to put roses there, as they have learned more and more about who he is. And I challenge all of you to go on the internet, and when it's November 24th, when he was murdered, you know, I just want you to spread the word about who he really was.
I'll be down in Dallas, Judyth. Yeah.
Great. Now we're going to sing
Well,
happy
not my
birthday
cake,
to
it's
Lee
our
Oswald.
cake.
This is his birthday party. He said he would never have another cake on October 24th. I mean,
Well,
October
we'll hold
18th,
it. This is a great photo op for anybody.
1963.
Okay, yeah.
And he cried. He said he would never have another cake. Here it is.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lee. Happy birthday to you. All right, Judyth. Blow out the candles. And I'll let you know when Judyth is going to cut the cake. So if you guys want to take photos of her cutting the cake, that'll be something.
I have a big bill to get back. You see, I have to go back. I have tickets and flight plans and things like that to many different cities, so they don't actually know which one I'm going to.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So anything donated in the box tonight will be given to Judyth 100%. And again, thank you all very much for
God
attending.
bless you all. Okay, here we go. go. When I cut this cake, I'm going to cut those handcuffs.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Got it?
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
All right, here we go. All right. We're cutting those handcuffs off. God bless Lee Harvey Oswald and what he did. And God bless all of you. Thank you.
Judyth, thanks for being here.
Yes.
Really. You make me very happy.
Well, you made us very happy.
I think Lee would have cried again if he were here. I hate to cut your head.
I know. Just keep one eye intact there.
On the other hand, read the book. You're going to find the truth. People have said when they've read the book, they've gone to Amazon.
I'm going to
they've
give
done
Judyth the first piece.
reviews. It's one of the few books that has 5-star review after 44 reviews.
Judyth, I'm going to give you the first piece, which was piece with
Oh no, I don't want the first piece. Give it to somebody else. Oh, no,
I'll
that's
eat
not
it.
right. Okay. Yeah.
With pride.
No.
Thanks
It's
so
about
much.
Lee. It's not about me.
Thanks, Judyth.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Judyth, what would you like?
Yeah. This is because all of you have been standing in line so long, and you need to hear a little bit more, I think. Lee Oswald was not the ordinary lone nut. Okay? If you look at photographs, first of all, there are many photos. If you're a lone nut, you're not going to have anybody taking a picture of you. Secondly, if you look, unless he's been arrested and hit and bashed in the face, he's smiling. Next, you see his arm, women's arms around him. And you see him with co-workers in Russia, of all places, in Belarus and Minsk. And they're all around him. He's got these sunglasses on. He is playing James Bond. And he did it. He came back from the USSR after 3 years and did not get arrested with a Russian wife and child. That's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Then I was there. I was present when I met the man, Charles Thomas, one of our witnesses, okay? We have a whole family of witnesses there, who expedited Lee's passport. Imagine, he got a passport in 24 hours in New Orleans, where we had Castro people coming in and all that, spies and so on, where they were especially vigilant. He gets his passport in 24 hours because they flew a man in from customs to make sure, and that man processed not only his name was Arthur Young, that was an AKA, and a bunch of others, so it wouldn't be all by itself. What's interesting is that Lee had on that passport application that he would be going to Russia and places like that, and they pass it in 24 hours. Just think about that. So there's much, much more. It's in the book. It's going to fill in all the blanks for you. Okay? God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I'm going to go back there and sign books for people. And if you want a little cake.
No, there you go. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Forgot to add the discount on there.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think I've seen this on the internet. Yeah, I finally had to leave the country. I tried to even come back. I lost my job, I lost my health, everything, but I'm still here.
There was bad recriminations from doing that?
Oh yeah. And one of my friends, for example, I know we have a long line, so I'll just say it quickly. One of my friends who helped me, she was with me for 2 weeks. She came back and found her house filled to here with dog and human feces. And her whole house was destroyed. She lived with her mother. Oliver Stone almost had his career ruined by the film JFK.
Right.
And he would like to do it again.
Did he know of your existence at that
Oh
time?
yes, he knows. Yeah, he does. And I've been encouraged and helped. Let me tell you, one film producer wanted to make a film out of this, found a dead baby floating in their pool. We have horrible things. They probably never be made in a movie because they intimidate them, and a lot of the mafia is still controlled. Jack Valenti, for heaven's sakes, was head of the film guild and all that, and he was LBJ's. they control.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's what goes on.
Okay. So you've spoken to Oliver Stone and.
No. I've been in exile.
Right.
I hadn't had
obviously.
a real hamburger
But
for
he
5 years.
But you're saying he knew of you.
Oh yes, and they've come to him many times.
Right.
Jesse Ventura, it's
Was Jim Garrison aware of you, do you think?
No,
No.
I was in Mexico at the
At
time.
that time?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then after that I had a miscarriage, and when I got pregnant, I was in bed. I didn't know about him.
Oh, okay, right.
Just give me 2 seconds.
I wanted to cure cancer. I wanted with all my heart to cure cancer.
Really?
They kicked me out of this because I objected using people for experiments.
And I just got interested when I saw Loose Change and about 9/11 being an inside job.
They're related.
Oh.
It's all related. Look, those were the trademark buildings, you remember?
Oh, yes.
World Trademark, and Kennedy was headed to the trademark when he was killed. They're all the same people.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're the same people.
Yeah, they are.
Well, all the best.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Say a prayer for me.
I will. Bye.
Hello, Judith. Pleasure
Hi.
to see you. Welcome
Hi.
to Toronto.
Where I really belong.
I'm glad you're doing it, though. And, by the way, since it's Lee's birthday today,
Yes.
have you ever talked to his two daughters? Do they appreciate you coming out?
Rachel has contacted me.
She has contacted you.
They stay neutral because I know things about Marina, and Marina was in a terrible position and had to say things about Lee that weren't true. So we don't mention each other. It's like that's
Okay, that's fine. But by coming out, though, and telling the truth about Lee, you know, and people are no longer urinating on his grave, for example.
That's exactly.
They should be happy about this, you know.
Well, they are, but you have to understand they're still under pressure, a lot of pressure. They live near Dallas, for heaven's sakes. So they're under the thumb.
She was scheduled to be on 60 Minutes on CBS several years ago, and they canceled it while she was in the makeup room because, you know, they got the word from high that it was too dangerous to touch.
Cyprus is nice.
Yeah.
It's a big good business for you.
Yeah, I knew because it's like the 50th anniversary is next year. There hasn't been any sort of real progress.
Go ahead. Speak.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes it really gets to me when I know that Lee himself was afraid of his handlers because he had come back alive from Soviet Union. Since he came back alive, they wanted to get his third come. Can you imagine?
How was he? Why was he in the Soviet Union for the 3 years?
Pull down the U-2. He gave information. The Soviets pulled down the U-2 because America did not want Eisenhower to meet with Khrushchev because Eisenhower had some strokes and he was a little slow.
Right.
They didn't want that exposed.
Right.
And so they had launched the Corona satellite system. Thought they didn't need U-2s anymore. They were
Right.
wrong.
Right.
So then the technology was given. See, Lee gave that to them to prove that he was a spy.
Right.
And he actually talked to Gary Powers. I've talked to Gary
Yeah,
Powers'
Gary
son.
Powers, yeah.
Gary Powers' son and I have talked, you know. And he says, when his father saw Lee at Rest Their TV, he walked back and forth. He said, I know that man.
Really?
What's important here is that you should start from the beginning, don't skip. Because otherwise, these are
No, I don't
building
skip.
block. It's incremental.
No, I'll read
Yeah.
it right from the get-go.
That's-
And I'll tell
that's
my
tremendous.
other friends to read it right from the beginning. That's what.
So with this information, authors have been trying to slowly coax her out of the woodwork for the last 5 years, 7 years. And then Ed Haslam, after he wrote Dr. Mary's Monkey, had a really strong impact on her and just kept kind of, kept at her. Finally got her to succumb to writing the memoir. And anybody and everybody in the whole JFK community, whether they agree with it or not, it's got the whole fucking community buzzing.
Pleasure meeting you.
Yes, thank
Good
you.
luck to you.
Thank you. Okay, hi.
Hi.
Sorry it took so long.
Don't apologize.
Okay.
That's a thrill to meet you. So you left the States a few years ago, right?
I first left in 2003. I came back. Every time I came back, I ended up in hospital. So, finally, in 2007, I asked for political asylum in Sweden. Of course, America is wonderful. But they did protect me for 10 and a half months until we could find safe places for me. My family and friends helped me so I could stay safe.
So you're now
God bless the Swedes.
Yeah.
God bless the Turkish because I also spent time with this stuff. I just want to shake your hand. Thank you for taking the photos. Oh, I had a threat before coming here on the phone telling me to shut my mouth. So, and while ago, I used to get calls saying your mother is dead and things like that. And that's when I was overseas. It was much worse. Well, you can see anything can happen in New Orleans.
Yes. Lovely to meet you.
Well, God bless you, dear.
I found it interesting you put Jesse Ventura on the front cover too. A quote from him. I saw his show. He did one on the Lee Harvey Oswald, and he said there's no way he could have got those two bullets fired off.
Impossible.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but
he didn't do it.
Yes, thank you for your time. Thanks.
Fight for the truth.
Will do.
For 2 weeks, she was helping me. She went back to her house and was up to here with human and animal feces in her house. Millions of maggots crawling up, and they had to gut the house. She lives now with her mother. Wow. She lost her home. And a producer who was wanted to make a documentary found a dead baby floating in their pool. That's the kind of things they do.
To scare people.
Yeah. Ruins your life because, turned out that was. I don't want to talk. I've had people who have been good to me have been hurt.
Yeah.
My family's been hurt. And even when I lived overseas, they call me and say, like, my mother was dead, things like that. And I have to stand so long.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, you want to stand so long? What's your name, please?
David.
David.
Make it up.
Did you know that Lee's favorite name was David? He was going to name his son when he was born, David.
Oh, is that right?
And in the Warren Commission, they said he was going to name his son Fidel. That's so crazy.
Oh, it's nice.
In Norway, okay, designing sweaters there, and they sent me to the trade mart that was in Dallas, and I went to his grave for the first time because nobody was around, and it just broke. You could tell that somebody had urinated on his grave. That's why I mentioned this, and it just broke my heart. And they're not doing that now. They're putting roses on his grave.
Yeah, and I heard that there was only a name on it.
Just says Oswald.
Yeah.
Well, they kept stealing the stone. This one was sit down pretty deep.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Why was he? Why did he say he was a patsy? Why did they find him in Clinton, Louisiana, with Clay Shaw? What was he doing there? Why is he connected with the mental hospital in Jackson, for example? Things like that. But more than that, why did he say, again, that he was a patsy? And by the way, that he passed a voice stress analysis test, so he was telling the truth. God bless you, dear.
Come here. God bless you and protect you for everything what you're doing. You just say true. True is only one. There can be 2 or 3 truths.
That's right. There's only one truth, and we got all these crazy stories,
But why we kill each other? Why we not funded some compromise?
They're making money. It's to make money. It was all money. Even 9/11, World Trade Center buildings go down. Kennedy was on his way to the World Trade Center building when he was killed. When he was killed, he was on his way to a World Trade Center building.
Well, thank you very much.
They took over everything.
Yeah, I'll give this a lot of attention.
Thank you.
So
I
welcome
appreciate
you
that.
too.
I get threats too, right when I shut my mouth about all this.
Believe in God?
I believe, yes, but not the religion,
Yeah.
not the organized religions. But I believe is, I have the divine spark. We all have the divine spark. It depends on what we want to do with it. And I think we're within God, actually. We're manifestations.
You're last in line. Last is best.
It's just been mesmerizing to me, and I have to be able to understand I'm on the street, non-dean class in Dallas, and why is he there other than the CIA running?
And Chris, I'll tell you something else. This is the only book signing, the book's been out a year.
Yeah.
And there was such a response that even though I've been in hiding, it came out because I've got to defend him. And,
well, in 2 years it'll be 50th anniversary, and it's going to be a big to-do again, right? So.
Well, they're going to have a lot of stuff saying that Lee did it. Lots of junk.
There's just no way. There's no way. I've been there. I've been in that actual room. I know exactly what they're talking about. And
can you imagine taking the death scene, washing it out, cleaning it up, removing the evidence?
But that's because LBJ said to Henry Ford II, take care of the car for me because everybody was just up with the plan.
And go ahead and launder Conley's close so you can't see if any bullet went through, the same bullet would go through the fragments.
We were just at Henry Ford a couple of weeks ago looking at the limo, and I told my son, Secret Service guys spread it on the back of the car over top of them, and everything was from the front. So anyway.
And what Dan Rather said, I've seen the Zapruder film, he says, where you could see the president's head thrown violently forward. And when he was, he said that.
I know, but
and then he said, you know what he said, if the first answer he had before the regulation one came out, he said, I think I saw the film backwards.
Well, conspiracy theory was right.
This is not theory, though. This is
no,
real.
No, I don't.
No, it's okay.
None of them war information, so which is the.
Cass Sunstein, who works in the Obama administration, put out something saying that we must make sure that people who have anything that's against the government are called conspiracy theorists, and we must make sure that they get infiltrated, and that we provide crazy, responses and things as if we support these people and act real crazy so nobody believes the core.
Well, this story about the guy who was the embalmer, who had to leave and was gone for 24 hours and then was so relieved when he saw the shooting of Oswald because he said, we're off the hook now. And it was almost like he'd been brought in specially to doctor the body, maybe on the way back to Bethesda, so that the formal military doctors looked at it and it was different. And none of the doctors, well, you know all this, but none of the doctors in Parkland agreed with what they saw.
Kennedy's autopsy, Lee Oswald's autopsy was better than the president's. That's awful.
Yeah, well,
it was disgusting.
And then they showed this embalmer's brother partying with Jack Ruby a few weeks before, so there was a connection. It was obvious what was going on then.
Well, I'll just say this: in New Orleans, everybody was connected to each other. But I wasn't in Dealey Plaza, but I can tell you, I knew Lee Oswald, and he loved Kennedy.
Yeah, so.
It's just awful.
Well, I'm going to read the book and I'm going to love it. So.
Gonna get a bite of cake.
Thank you so much for doing this.
God bless you.
Everybody had a fabulous time, and everybody's leaving smiling and saying how excited they are to read the book. Have you had a good night?
Oh yes, I love people anyway, and where I live it's pretty rough because I live in a very isolated area. I can't see very many people, but people who are there are taking very good care of me. They love me like a sister.
The president does not have any choice. Your article in the Star, today's Star, it gives you a pretty good shot. This McAdams has his say about da-da-da-da-da, but it balances out.
McAdams never met me.
No.
He thanks people at the bottom, a whole bunch of people who never met me.
But he says he read the book and da-da-da-da-da-da, but he doesn't justify it a great deal.
He never read the book. They're quoting from 2003. He never read the book.
But this reviewer actually balances out what he has to do. You actually get a very good review.
Amazing to have Judyth come to a Toronto town, because it's never going to appear in the U.S., right? So to have her here is a milestone. And I said this to her when I introduced myself to her, that she's the Rosetta Stone of Lee Harvey Oswald's murder. My feeling is innocent of shooting anybody that day, but was probably involved in some way in a government plan that I think he was lied to. So yeah, 60. I think it's 64. It's an original copy. She mentions it in her book. It's Dr. Oshner, who was at the Tulane University. He was also, I think, involved in the government in some way, with the CIA or whoever, disinformation. And then that's what they did with Lee Harvey Oswald to set him up as a patsy. And, this is a broadcast on Dr. Oshner's owned radio station that Lee Harvey Oswald inadvertently went in and voiced his opinion on Marxism and being interviewed about communism and the American way, and they used it to justify his guilt. So she didn't have a copy, and she was very touched and moved by it, and I'm glad I was able to do that. I read it 2 weeks after it came out on Amazon. It was delayed, backordered for 9 months, and they gave me 3 notices if I wanted to cancel the order, and I said no. So, yeah, I read it 2 weeks after I got it, and it really is in tandem with Dr. Mary's Monkey, what Ed had written, and you know, it's going to be difficult to see where she actually places in the JFK assassination in the history of what happened in New Orleans. Yeah. My name's Casper DeLine, and I've researched the JFK assassination for about 22 years. I've been collecting, I was trying to get newspapers from every state in America the day after Kennedy got assassinated. And the newspaper they have here, I managed to get 2 copies of the same issue when I bought it. So I talked to Patrick, and he had a reprint of the Dallas paper. So I asked him if he'd be interested in the original, and I donated it to him. He said yes. So it's up on the wall now.
The movie Executive Action. Have you ever seen that?
Of course. And
what did you think about that?
Oh, I think it's pretty accurate in its own way. You know, you have the right kind of people involved, your right-wing conservatives and so on. Another book called, I think it was called 7 Days in May, was actually authorized by President Kennedy. And it, of course, also includes the assassination scenario. Kennedy knew his life probably wouldn't last. It's so sad. What can I tell you? I'm on Facebook, like even dissidents who are in very dangerous areas even are on Facebook with a lot of safeguards. I am on Facebook, and Judyth Vary Baker. Also, a group has put together called Vindication for Judyth Vary Baker because I've been unfairly attacked. Can you imagine? I mean, they'll take things I've said, change them, and then when I try to correct them, they say I changed my story. So, you know, that's not fair. And they will say that I said this or that, but they will not show you the original emails. They'll just tell you what it said. This email said that or that other. And they can say whatever they like, and then if I try to correct them, they'll say I'm changing my story. So these are the things you have to face. And some people got mad enough about it that they decided to form a group to support me because I tell the truth. Tell people about the real New Orleans and the real Lee Oswald.
I'm Jeffrey Holmes. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, 9th Ward. And I own a tour company, Strange True Tours. And every single day, I'm on the sidewalks of the French Quarter telling the story about Lee Harvey Oswald and the New Orleans Mafia. And I tell people, tourists, who did and who did not kill Kennedy. Yeah, it's quite interesting, and this was an incredible opportunity when I found out Judyth was going to be here to come up and actually speak to her and do a little interview and meet her and learn more about her story. I do know some older characters in New Orleans that knew a lot of the people involved. They don't really celebrate Lee's birthday in New Orleans. New Orleans is such a small microcosm. I mean, even to this very day in 2011, if you live or work in the French Quarter, it's like being in high school. Everybody knows everybody's business. Now we're going back to the late 50s and early 60s when the town was even a lot smaller. You can't be around these characters without something going on. I mean, here Judyth, she rolls into town, and in less than 11 days, she knows who Marcello is, she knows who all these characters are and what's going on. And New Orleans is that sort of town. And if you do roll in and start hanging out in the local bars and meeting these people, this stuff starts to come to surface really fast. I don't know exactly. I mean, he was born there. He was there as a young child. His mother took him away. He returned as a teenager. In fact, I stand on the corner of Iberville and Exchange Place, just a half a block from where he lived as a teenager with his mom at 124 Exchange Place, and which is only a block away from Exchange Place and Canal Street, where he was passing out that pro-communist literature. That black and white film footage is so famous. In fact, I knew the man that filmed that footage. His name is Michael Lala. He was a WDSU photographer. And they knew what was going on. The whole damn thing was set up. Okay? I used to work for Michael in one of his restaurants. Unfortunately, he was the first person I was aware of that passed away during Katrina. But the stories that man had, and many of the other older characters in New Orleans that have been there, that grew up there, spend a little time, have a few cocktails with them, get to know them, and they'll start opening up. And you'll start to realize that New Orleans is that weird little world that only in New Orleans could something like this actually happen. You've got a David Ferry working with Dr. Alton Ochsner, working with Dr. Sherman, who's working with Lee, who's working with the CIA, who's working with the mob. You can't make this shit up. Honestly, pardon my French, but it can't be done. Even politics in New Orleans to the very day is still the same thing. The whole story first came to me a book called Mr. New Orleans. It's about the life of Frenchy Brûlé. He was a mobster in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. And he's still alive. He wrote this book in '09. And he is, I would call him a character witness, because he knew all the characters involved. He knew Oswald. He knew Ruby. He knew Marcella. Dean Andrews was a pill-popping alcoholic lawyer who crashed in his apartment half the damn time. You know, that's how small the town is. In fact, in his biography, Frenchy says that all of his friends were involved in the assassination of Kennedy. He doesn't exactly know what role each one played, has a few theories, but they were involved. And he basically says he was the only person in this group that was not involved. So even if you are still skeptical about Dr. Mary's monkey or Judyth's story, here's another living witness who will corroborate that Oswald and Ruby knew each other, that Oswald and Ruby knew Marcello. They all hung out in the same damn room. Really, guys? Yeah. So I found Mr. New Orleans, and then a buddy of mine who used to play cards with Carlos Marcella and knew the Marcella family very, very well, turned me on to Dr. Mary's monkey, and then that's how I found out about me and Lee. And if you read the 3 books, you've got 3 different people from 3 different lives. You know, you've got Frenchie, who was a mobster, Ed, who was a teenager in high school, and Judyth, who was doing her work in New Orleans, all at the same time. They never knew each other, but yet all 3 books, all 3 stories fit together so tight, there's no denying this. There really isn't. None of these people knew each other, but they all knew the same people. And all the stories come out to the same. Yeah. So, Lee is innocent, guys. Lee didn't do it. Oh, it's Strange True Tours. I'm on the internet. I'm one of the top-rated walking tours on TripAdvisor. I'm there on the sidewalks every day, telling this story every single day, 7 days a week. I only have, unfortunately, 12 to 15 minutes to kind of do the story. I have to do a Reader's Digest condensed version. But what this is a catalyst to pique everyone's interest, get them to know more, and get them to go find these books and study and find out what really happened and what is going on. Because this is way beyond the assassination of Kennedy. Way beyond. That's just a little speed bump, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for having me.